I'm very pleased that the manga went bi-weekly with this current setup because it guarantees that we're going to have a lot of really cool panels in this next fight because the opening slash was really cool. I love how it just like there was this massive cleave across this whole like loomed and gloomy mushroom town, and this girl in here is her name. What I'm trying to figure out how it's pronounced. It's like Antares. Let me see exactly how it's spelled again. I think it's something like that. Antares. Yeah, she just looks really cool, and she was able to cut up fodder with a bookmark, but it was really interesting when it was just information because we didn't see the character first. It was just talked about, and we know that this is one of the 12 zodiacs, and as far as I know, so she should be one of the 12 strongest people in their government. So she's essentially a boss character. I don't know if she's gonna be like I'm rank number whatever in the 12 or anything like that, or they're gonna be kind of like the Spriggan from Fairy Tail. They're gonna be relatively around the same level, and then a couple exceptions higher up. But that's what I would assume this will be, at least so far. If we get more of an Espada thing where they have a number and it's just direct rank, which I think would make sense because they're a military, so something directly more traditional. Like, I don't think it'll be as simple as a number. I think it'll be something like a rank, like, oh, I'm something something number. I don't know. I don't think that we'll get to that at the moment, but I kind of like the idea more of it, that to where they're mostly around level with each other, except a couple of them are stronger, and they're the ones that, like, the other character, like, once we get to more of these Zodiac, we see, oh, well, this character also hypes up this other character, so you see a consistent name that pops up, and then eventually you get to whatever that character is. What would be a good pretend name? Just John Smith. They're just, yeah, the most generic name possible, and they just keep saying it, and then he shows up and he's some super bland looking guy, but he's amazing. It's Saitama's cousin from America. But let me see. I don't think they say anything about a name. I just pulled up the chapter. She's a direct retainer to the king. She's one of the royal zodiacs. So right now, my guess is it's going to be, like I said, where we're going to have it by word of they're all going to be kind of around level word of mouth, but she right now, I think she's going to set a really good tone of the layout of what we're going to be seeing as the main problem. Because one thing about the manga, and I really like too, if you look at the title for the chapter, there's a slash through it and it's slightly skewed. Chapter 19 Fire Cover just completely gives that little nod into what's going in. I really love it when sword paneling does neat stuff like that. It just gives it the extra little flavor per series. But as I said, Narade is in a spot, and it's not like a problem. We're at 19 chapters. He's around area where he's probably going to either be in his first situation where he doesn't think he's going to be able to win, or he's going to just straight take an L, is my guess. Maybe, like, best case scenario, he gets a tie. If he beats this girl, it has to be he unlocks whatever he did before, and he gets, like, an all-out, and then is maybe able to beat her. I don't know. I feel like introducing this character, especially at her level, it would make more sense for him to clearly not be able to beat her at his stake. Because I think a problem with Narade winning against her is he doesn't even know really what his power is. So I think if he's gonna beat any of the 12, he should just go off of when he gets to this point. I don't really, because I want these guys to be hyped, because this girl, just her opening into her, like, mentioning her character, you see the large slashes across the mountainside and like cliffside and through the town, and fissures that go into the into the sea, and like they're still having water drain to them, who knows for how long after she's already cut them. It was such a really hype moment. One thing about this manga I really enjoy is that it does really well at setting tone pressure of moments. I really it's fantastic. It reminds me kind of like Toriko. Toriko is really good about that. Um I think that this manga does a fantastic job of just getting that moment where a fight is about to start, action is about to take place, and you get to that break point in the panel and you're just getting hyped for it. Because I mean, just like in this chapter, so I've been kind of rambling on a little bit more so about the more so of Antares. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right still. Maybe one day maybe we'll get a thing in the official volumes for pronunciation. But they end up getting to Yuri Holz's house, and I don't imagine they were going to really find anything here, just because anybody who knows about this guy, this would be like information number one to go look for. And just as they figured, like, they go there and it's already been completely cleaned out. But to me, the whole thing is, if there's a secret there, I imagine you would have to go there looking for something specific. And at the moment, like, they're just looking around, there's nothing that they can find. I mean something specific, like you have an idea of what you're looking for. Like, there's a weird door, it's got the shape of his tail in there, and maybe it's something like you have, I don't know, there's some way that it activates and it opens like a dimensional door and it goes to like a secret room or something that he has, because maybe that was his thing, is he was able to create like little warps in space with his tail, and that's one of the reasons he was such a great adventurer, is he was able to move around to all these locations so fast and do all the, you know, whatever. Maybe we'll get to it, because I would imagine once we start to really see the higher characters, we're going to see crazier and crazier types of powers, because the one thing that we don't really have right now, obviously they've talked about it, is when they were at their peak, they had the Dragon King and everything was good. They were at the height of the world, like they're the strongest country. And the dragon people, like the whole dragon folk, they are one of the wonders of the world, and they are pretty much what creates their military might. So I would assume once we get, you know, looking at some of the lower powers, once we get to because what was that guy's name? I completely already forgot him, the dude with the black hair. I'm gonna have to go back and look really fast, just because I don't want to disrespect him, because he was kind of cool. I really liked his weird crab tail, which I actually need to remember on that, because one bit of, well, in the series itself, the tails are really cool. I mean, I would imagine they would need to be, because that's one of the drawing points in the character designs. But I noticed there's a strong design resemblance between Nereids' tail and this woman's tail. It makes me wonder if they're gonna be maybe of similar, like I don't know what, just subspecies, I guess. I don't know what the correct word that you would kind of call it categorically, but they look very similar. His is more like, it's just this kind of sharp, I don't know, tip bit, where hers is this more razor, kind of lacerating kind of style. And I know that he was called the Wave Dragon, and I wonder exactly what that exactly translates into when it comes to, you know, what his power is, or maybe that's just a name he was given and that's not his actual dragon tail name. Because if you've looked at the one shot, like, I imagine anybody who checked out the series once it was kind of circulating by the official count, like in the first couple weeks, you probably saw the picture of the one shot. If you haven't, like, it was more, originally it was more on kaiju, it seemed, and Nereids had a whole form. I assume that once, if you eventually get something like that, it's going to look different, more akin to whatever the full dragon designs of this verse would look like. But the tail is the same. So the tail is a mainstay in the author's design setup. So if something is similar, and you can look at it right here, if something is similar, it's got to have some idea of intent behind it by the author, because not all of them are going to have like mechanics and abilities that are going to just set up like akin to another one, unless I would imagine they're supposed to like look similar, and maybe that's going to be the point. But who knows? Maybe I'm reading into this bit a little bit too much, because if you look at it, both of them are. If you look at the Undertale, it's sectional where there's not much in the design, but with Nereid's, it's more smooth, but it looks a little bit more girthy, where it's again a bulkier type, and hers are more like hooked and then like more thin and I don't know. I'm trying to think of the correct word just to kind of like go about that. I don't know. Just I'll come back to it at some point. I don't know exactly. I'm like staring more so at like the cool lacerating top blade, whereas Nereid's is it's like this kind of cool like outward flat blade. I'm trying to remember the like just executioner sword style. I don't think that's correct, but you know what I mean. It's just this long flat straight razor kind of looking thing. But as it were, it's similar-ish but different in kind of design. Like I said, in a way that I think is supposed to be intentional in similarity, but a tell on their powers kind of thing. It's kind of hard to say because it's like I haven't really had a situation like this where you're like comparing a physical aspect to, okay, how is this maybe something important to the series of a tale? Because the different tales we've seen so far are really weird. They're kind of all been very different. Like this dude, I've been trying to remember his name still, but he oh, I'm trying to this girl too, Kerner. I really like her, the spider dragon, and she has this cool silked up tail with these little spikes sticking out, little crosses. But I really am hoping to see exactly if there's anything between them in the next couple chapters, because the Zodiacs, if some people know about Nereid a little bit and she knows about him, it's like, to what extent does she know exactly like what type of dragon he is? Does she know his backstory, or does she just know of him? Where is that gonna go? But it's really intriguing, just an idea of, can we find out stuff in the story if two characters have similar-ish tales? Because you could use that in a way that it's harder to do in a manga. That's like, it's easy to do in anime if you look at two characters and they have, say, like similar hair color, or if like there's only a couple characters that have like specific characteristics, like an extra eye or a tail in this case, something that is very specific to a thing in that specific story that says, hey, you are in this specific category. So if another character shows up with this specific trait, you're like, oh, hang on a second. In this verse, obviously the dragon kin don't seem to be directly related, but if we can look at it and say, okay, there's something from just two characters having similar-ish tales, it could tell us something that is story-wise to look forward to and to keep an eye on. But there's just kind of stuff going on. Like, there's this other guy that is sneaking around trying to get at him, but it's like trying to sneak a sneaky guy trying to sneak up on a sneakier guy was not gonna work. But there apparently is something going on, because he's just this mysterious man is just talking about how they need to get out of here because it is going to start, but they don't know exactly what it is. And hey, look, the title book dropped, and Geo trying not to get directly decimated with lore drop in the story and getting panel cut. I wonder exactly what her power exactly is. I don't know why I said exactly twice. I don't know entirely what the like to expect really with her, because the last dude, like, what was his thing, is he had matter manipulation to a degree, not to like crazy unlimited extents, but to at least an amount that said, yeah, I'm still pretty broken. Whereas I would imagine that her power is going to be not just directly raw power over him. It's probably going to be something crazy, because her swordsmanship, I don't imagine, is part of her dragon tail abilities. That's probably something completely different. And this is just her physical strength combines with her swordsmanship. And she has this really cool sword. I want to see what it looks like unsheathed, because it has this super long handle. I wonder if it, like, the blade is just right back here, I don't know what I'm saying right back here. Like I'm looking at the picture, like just where at the black point where it looks almost like it's more of a sheath. And is it more of like a long super handle? Is she gonna use her tail to extend like the sword? Maybe that'll be it, and she'll use her tail to grip the sword, and it will just be this essentially giving a long bladed stinger to her tail, and like in the fact that her tail has bladed shapes on it, maybe that modifies into the way that she attacks. But it was just really cool, like I said, that it has this whole cool panel cut into just hinting as it's about to happen that the slash is coming in, and then bam, you have this really beautiful double page. And like I said, I'm really happy that this manga got moved to bi-weekly, because I was really happy once, probably after it was like about a year or so in, with Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, because if you've gone from like I read it from weekly to bi-weekly, and you really notice like a lot of the stuff in chapters that it's not like, hey, we want to have this like a funny moment or stuff that kind of gives you like little character moments. Is there'll be like maybe a panel or two just spread like on a maybe like on a page, and there's just enough to kind of extend out, because maybe an author has 16 pages but they need 18 pages to meet a deadline, and they're like, I need to extend this a little bit, and so they just add a little bit of fluff in there just to give a little bit of bulk in there without having to really change what they already have. It happens. I feel like that's not really uncommon, but definitely from obviously now it's gotten worse. Some of these guys are putting out unfinished chapters and getting sick, and that's why I'm happy that that Galaxias got moved to bi-weekly, because it's better for both the one, for the reader. We're gonna be getting art a lot nicer, at a much more, well, not nicer, what am I talking about, art at a grander scale, at a more frequent rate, I would assume. And clearly, as it's showing, really nice double spreads this chapter, and really cool just usage of paneling and art to just show that this is a much better style, I think, than weekly. And it will hopefully show other magazines to say, hey, we need to figure out a good way that is both beneficial to the magazine itself, the mangaka, their squad, like their whole team and their group making manga, and the readers, because I don't want to be that guy, but it's definitely like, if when you have something like Jujutsu Kaisen, you have near the end, Akutami got sick and had to get hospitalized, and there was, so I don't know exactly the timeline for when it was happening, but it's very clear some of the areas moved way faster than they should have. And I think that just the way that Shonen Jump does the whole super fast style, it ends up being pretty detrimental to to all three of these areas. Whereas like if you put it to where the mangaka can put out quality chapters at a reasonable, because I feel like a chapter, like a really good, depending on how many double spreads I guess are in there, but generally around like 18 to 20 page, hopefully, like I would say like a good regular bi-weekly. Let me see, do they have Galax? I don't want to count the pages, but generally around there, like 20 to like 22 pages is just hopefully the solid amount, unless you have like a good amount of double spreads. I mean, like, come on, that's just depending on the hype situation. Like, you can just really flex art at that point. It happens. I mean, what was it like, Ichi the Witch? Like, there was like a two or three chapter period where it was just double spreads all over the place, and it's like you read through those 3 chapters super fast, and it's like when you read them all weekly or so, it feels like almost nothing happens. Like, stuff happens, but not really in the span of time. It's just rough. But it doesn't seem to be happening with this manga. And like, I figured maybe we'd have a little bit more downtime before we had Antares. Again, I wonder if I'm pronouncing that right. Antares. Maybe that's it. Maybe Antares. That sounds a little bit better. It sounds a little bit fancier. I'll go with that until I figure out how to pronounce it properly, if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But Antares. But she's saying that she was hoping to meet Geo Host and to Holst. I don't say host. Geo Holst, and to find Narade and to cut him down. Pretty much, she's here to take him out for the dragon government. I mean, both of these guys. Well, no, I think it was Geo. Yeah, she wanted to find Geo for the dragon government. I think Narade just in general. But right now, because she said that right now that she was gonna give them all rope necklaces. Like, she's ready to kill them. Like, she's not even caring. I can't wait to see this next bit show up because it looks so cool. Like, Narade, I really like Narade's energy in comparison to a lot of the other main characters right now. He's such a, and I think that's one of the things about his tale, like I said, that says stuff about him. If you look at these two characters, like, if say these two, say they're both like, just in theory, say they're from the exact same race, like, I guess not race, but the same subspecies of dragon folk, but the difference is his is in brute force and hers is in you know, pretty much in sword sharpness, some way, shape, or form. I don't know how to say it. Cutting powers, pretty much. And that's why, her tail is more is more kind of thin, and I didn't really figure out anything to go better than thin. I guess narrow. It just more kind of designed to be, I don't know, more aerodynamic too. It just, also, I feel like just the sweet hooks on it, it gives it such a, leaves horrible wounds. I guess it not really. Now that I think of it, I was like, leaves horrible wounds. Like, I'm thinking of like tiger claws, something made to kind of like tear into you and really just leave damage, even if it's like a shortcut. But at the same time, I'm like, well, she's gonna just cut through everything if you're not able to block it. So I don't imagine there's a lot of lacerations. But Narade's is more of like a big, bulky, heavy type, just brick wall. And I can compare to say, like, because I get a lot of fairy tale vibes when I read this. Like, it reminds me a lot of like the early series, and especially like the way that Narade, the Ray just kind of handles his problems. Like, he's not like, hey, I'm gonna fight you. Like, I don't want to have to go into every situation as a fight, but like, I guess if I have to fight, I gotta fight. Let's go. Like, he's perfectly fine when the fight breaks out. Like, he's like, I want to, but I'm not gonna instigate it, pretty much. Because like every time seemingly that like a fight kind of happens, it's almost always like he's just like, okay, let's go. It never seems to be like he's the one that just like, he shows up and he like walks up and shoves you. He's like, let's fight. It looks like he's the one that, like, a bunch of people show up and they're like, all right, we're gonna jump this dude, and he's like, dang, 5 guys, okay, I wasn't expecting this today, but this is okay. And he's just rolling up his sleeves ready for combat. Even here in this picture, like, it looks like his sleeves are rolling up by themselves. And he, in comparison to her, and Terry's, like, he looks like, he's just in this panel too, he looks wide, he just looks bulky. And like I said, when you compare him to, say, like, again, like someone like Natsu's more of a, was obviously in the idea of the designs, I guess, you know, Direct Ideas Dragon designs, he has the whole fire design and fire theme, so more hot energy and, you know, the more so, I would say, want for combat, the fire for fighting. Whereas Narade is, as far as we know, I don't think he has any elemental additional powers, so it's more so brute force, and that's why he is more just brick wallish, as I said. This is a absolute, like, look at his neck in this picture. Like, look at his neck. It's huge. This dude, like, he's just muscle on muscle. He seems to have this ability to just conjure up extra neck definition when he needs to. Maybe that's it. It's like one of those lizards that they have the frills come up. With Narade, he's able to just double his muscle mass, or maybe gain like 1.5% his body, or 1.5 like 1.5, and just goes into 50% muscle mass gain. But it's all in his physical upper body that is visible. I don't know why I said physical, like, that's different. I've been like extra on my words for some reason. It's just like every single time I run into something that I didn't intend to talk about, it's like I'm trying to figure out, like, well, how do I recover to adding this in without just pausing for a second? But at the same time, it just is what it is. Narrate though, I think that he's gonna go into this fight and really have a rough time. I don't really see this going well for him. I don't know, because there's the whole thing where he seemingly can just get a berserker buff in a fight, but I don't know. I feel like even with that, she is going to have the skill and control, because she doesn't seem like be a hothead. Like even now, like she's directly like face to face with him, and she doesn't have a worried look on her face. And I don't think it's like a idea of, oh, she knows that she's gonna no diff him. I think it's more so that she is just a character that is going to be more so calm. Like she herself is going to be way more tranquil in how she fights. But we'll see. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe she is going to go into a crazy state when she pulls that sword out. We'll see. Either way, I've rambled on about this one, but I thought this chapter is really hype, and it's the first one. I think it's the first one. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure the last chapter was the last chapter that was weekly, and now it's bi-weekly. I'm fairly certain. I could be wrong, but I just had a lot to talk about this chapter because there was a lot of like short fun moments and little bits that just in general I got hyped on, and then this character, I can't wait to see how exactly she's going to be going around. I mean, Kurtner here is too. I don't really see how her fight is really going to be in her favor. I mean, she, as I would guess, is going to be a spider, but I don't see the really too scary amount of things she got. Maybe she'll have a venom power, but I don't know. I'm more so interested in absolute power force here, and I don't know, 6 samurai combined. We'll see. Anyway, other than that, catch you on the next one. Bye.